There are moments when Daffy Duck didn't just get mad, he completely lost his mind. We all know Daffy Duck as the loudmouth sidekick, but sometimes he wasn't just funny, he was unhinged. In this video, we're breaking down every time Daffy completely snapped, lost control, and took cartoon chaos to a whole new level. You'll discover how his personality changed over time, the hidden moments of rage behind the jokes, and why Daffy might be one of the most unpredictable cartoon characters ever created. So Porky's Duck Hunt, 1937, Birth of the Screwball. Daffy's debut is less witty sidekick, more hyperactive cyclone. While Porky lounges on a lake, Daffy careens across the water, ricochets off trees, and screams, "Hoo hoo, hoo hoo," with wide-eyed mania that would make modern jump-cut TikTokers jealous. Director Tex Avery later admitted he wanted a character who broke every rule, even those of cartoon physics, and Porky's Duck Hunt feels like animators unleashed a rubber band too tight to restrain. Daffy mocks Porky's stutter, hijacks a hunting dog's whistle, and ends by rowing away atop a revolver barrage, taunting, "You can't catch me, you old menace." If Daffy hatched from pure chaos, his next big outing cranks the dial to existential territory, a place where his very beak becomes a weaponized question mark. Duck Amuck, 1953, meta meltdown on a blank canvas, trapped in a white void. Daffy pleads for scenery. An unseen animator supplies a single farm, then erases it mid-line, swaps Daffy's body for a flower, then for a cowboy caricature, removes the soundtrack altogether so his dialogue appears only as placards. Each indignity ligatures Daffy's sanity tighter until he snarls straight at us, "You realize you're making a fool out of me!" When the tormentor reveals himself, Bugs Bunny, Daffy's pupils dilate into spirals of helpless rage. Chuck Jones's original storyboard let Daffy crumble into film sprockets, begging for mercy. The final version pulled back, but the meta-torture still rattles audiences. Think one rabbit with a paintbrush is bad? The next cartoon pits Daffy's ego against his own greedy clone, fracturing identity until feathers fly. The Great Piggy Bank Robbery, 1946, noir parody or fever dream. Private Eye, Duck Tracy, investigates his missing piggy bank, diving into a neon noir city of Thompson submachine guns and pun criminals like Picklepuss and Schnozola. The backdrop twitches like a delirious flipbook. Villains stretch into jagged silhouettes. Daffy's detective fantasy is so unhinged that when he finally reclaims the bank, he shoots holes through it, coins raining over shattered dreams, and kisses the money like a long-lost lover. Animator Bob Clampett admitted he cut frames to make Daffy's movements stutter, enhancing the hallucination vibe. Yet hallucinations pale beside the next episode, where Daffy's greed collides with supernatural paranoia, and the duck practically splits in two. The Scarlet Pumpernickel, 1950, the script that devours its author. Desperate to prove his dramatic chops, Daffy pitches a swashbuckling epic to Warner execs, and, within the same short, acts every role while rewriting the script mid-scene. Sword fights freeze as stage directions fly across the screen. Rain cloud doodles descend from the rafters. Daffy's villain switches hats so often, even he forgets the plot. His obsessive quest for seriousness culminates in the duck, threatening to end the cartoon with mass suicide, all to avoid the humiliation of a comedic finale. The producers blink, title card fades, and Daffy collapses in writerly exhaustion. Warner's memo afterward: dial back the self-harm jokes. Self-destruction is one thing, but what happens when Daffy's psyche literally fractures into good and evil sides, warring inside the same frame? You're about to find out. Drip Along Daffy, 1951. Western hero with a split personality. Posing as Western-type hero, Daffy trots into a dusty frontier town accompanied by Porky Pig as his docile sidekick. The twist: every time Daffy draws his pop gun, his heroic bravado shatters into cowardly spasms. Eyes bug, feathers stand on end, voice cracks in adolescent panic. The soundtrack underscores the yo-yoing psyche, with heroic trumpets one beat, kazoo raspberries the next. By the final showdown, Daffy detonates the villain and half the town, then lectures Porky about keeping violence tasteful, oblivious to his mushroom cloud handiwork. Critics labeled it the first Looney Tune with PTSD gags. Chaos escalates when Duck meets Duck, literally in the next cartoon, and the universe hiccups. Duck Dodgers in the 24.5th century, 1953. Narcissism goes galactic. Tasked with finding Planet X, Daffy, now Duck Dodgers, spends more energy upstaging Space Ranger Porky than exploring. When Marvin the Martian claims the planet, Dodgers declares galactic war, vaporizing rock formations, and eventually himself. After a do-over, Dodgers triumphs only to realize he's destroyed 99% of Planet X, leaving a pedestal barely large enough for his own ego to stand on. He plants a flag, then topples off the edge. Animator Mike Maltese once joked the short was manifest destiny boiled down to one preening duck. Yet even galactic narcissism can't match the unreleased ending of our next entry. A deleted finale so disturbing, Warner archived it under restricted access. Daffy Duck and the Abominable Snow Rabbit, 1961. The Duck Who Became Dinner. Bugs and Daffy stumble into the Himalayas, attracting Hugo the Abominable Snowman, an enormous, dim beast intent on hugging his new pet bunny. Bugs deflects by dubbing Daffy the bunny substitute. In an unaired storyboard sequence preserved only in production notes, Hugo allegedly nibbles Daffy's tail, prompting psychotic quacking that climbs 3 octaves above normal pitch. Censors pulled the footage, calling the implied cannibalism too graphic. Left intact, Daffy's meltdown is still chilling. He flaps like a trapped bat, eyes pinwheels, pleading, "Don't let him hug me too hard." Animators elevated fear to near trauma, and Hugo's childlike grin only makes it worse. If partial ingestion unsettles you, brace yourself. The next short rewinds Daffy's entire timeline, making him confront his own obsolescence live on television. The Ducksters, 1950, quiz show torture chamber. Daffy hosts a radio quiz show called Truth or strapping Porky into an electric chair for wrong answers. Questions are impossibly esoteric. Who was the referee for the heavyweight championship of the world in 1919? Porky's failures trigger buzzsaw blades, flaming arrows, even a falling safe. As ratings spike, Daffy grows more maniacal, eyes narrowing to demon slits. But when Porky outsmarts the host, Daffy becomes the contestant and dissolves into gibbering terror at his own devices. Proof of the duck's sadistic flair flipping instantly to victimhood. Torture is wild, but the unreleased fragment that follows flips every expectation. Daffy isn't tormentor or victim. He's missing entirely, replaced by a void that literally consumes the cartoon. Daffy in Wackyland, director's cut, 1938/found 1988. Oblivion on celluloid. The original Wackyland is weird enough. Daffy chases a non-existent creature through a Salvador Dali landscape of melting clocks and talking trees. A 1988 nitrate discovery revealed a scrapped ending. After realizing the creature doesn't exist, Daffy looks at the audience and shrugs. Then neither do I. He removes his bill, plucks off feathers like paper cutouts, and peels himself into strips of black ink that slither off screen. The final frame? Empty background. Scholars argue this ranks among the darkest self-annihilations ever animated, eclipsing even Duck Amuck. Warner's Vault keeps the ending under high humidity control, screened only once at UCLA with psychologists on standby. Daffy Duck wasn't just jealous. He wasn't just loud. He was deranged, dramatic, and sometimes dangerously entertaining. From melting down in front of crowds to spiraling into madness mid-episode, these moments proved that Daffy wasn't just part of the joke. He was the joke, the chaos, and the explosion all at once. Hit that like button, subscribe to Cartoon Rewind, and let us know in the comments, what's the wildest thing you've ever seen Daffy Duck do? Because in the Looney Tunes universe, sanity is optional.